Does the administration regret making the prisoner swap with Iran in light of these attacks?
Here we go again.
The United States does not regret bringing home American citizens who have been unjustly detained abroad. As I said before, the president has no higher priority than to get Americans home.
That doesn't make sense.
Right now, we have Americans who are being held hostage by Hamas in Gaza. That is a high priority. Bringing those Americans home from Iran was a high priority, from Afghanistan, from Venezuela, from other places as well. And we stand by bringing those people home because that is the duty of the Commander-in-Chief, is to get innocent Americans out of captivity in places that they are being unjustly detained. Thanks,
Jake, if Israel strikes Iran, what level of support can they count on from the U.S.?
Thanks, Jake. Okay, I know the president's going to have an event shortly, and the pool's going to have to gather. So we'll take a few questions. Go ahead, my friend, go ahead.
Here we...
Hi, Karine. On the special counsel interviews, did the president answer all the questions that were asked during the interviews, and was executive privilege invoked at any time? I know there's limits on what you can say, but any transparency is really helpful on that.
Yeah.
So look, my colleague at the White House Counsel put out a statement yesterday, providing an update of where we are with this particular interview and the special counsel. Obviously, I'm just not going to go beyond what my colleague has shared. If you have any further questions, certainly I would refer you to the Department of Justice or the White House Counsel to ask any detailed information.
Not a joke.
For the record, though, we understand the President's interview with Special Counsel Robert Hur was scheduled long before the conflict began. At least that's what we're being told by people here at the White House and elsewhere. Did the President and his legal team ever ask for the interview to be rescheduled, given what transpired in Israel over the weekend?
Nice.
So again, Ed, I'm not going to go beyond the statement from the White House Counsel, and you all know and have seen for yourself, the President spoke this is the second time he's spoken about Israel in the last couple of days, so we know how focused he's been on what has happened. He's shown his leadership over the horrific events over the weekend in Israel. And look, we disclosed the interview. We put that out in a statement from the White House Counsel for my colleague at the White House Counsel. And the President is obviously was intensely engaged. He spoke to many of our allies, whether the King of Jordan, the leaders of Italy, France, Germany, and the UK. He met, and as I said at the top, he met with our national security team over a dozen times. And he spoke with Bibi, Prime Minister Netanyahu, to be more precise, the third time today, so twice over the weekend. So he's been very much focused on the issues of the horrific events that we have seen in Israel. The President is able to do multiple things at once. Right? As president, he has to do multiple things at once, and that's what you saw him do this weekend.
You think so, but no.
Did the President's need to be interviewed by the special counsel yesterday impede or keep him from giving the remarks he gave yesterday? Because press office certainly knows there was a lot of inquiry and concern and criticism that perhaps he was not as publicly engaged yesterday as he possibly could have been. It was a federal holiday. There was some respect or decision made to not hold public events on the federal holiday, but clearly he was doing a big thing by meeting with the special counsel. So was there any reason to believe that impeded his ability to respond publicly to what was going on in the news?
Mm-hmm. Well, as you just said, Ed, presidents have to do multiple things at once. He spoke on Saturday, right? When we learned, when all of you were reporting and it was incoming of what was happening in Israel. He spoke today, obviously. There were multiple statements from this president. I just mentioned he met with his national security team dozens of times. He did multiple calls with heads of states trying to make sure that we got the support, continued that support, organized the support of other allies and partners across the world. And we put out a statement as well, a joint statement from those allies and partners. Look, the president was very much engaged in showing his leadership, and also how we're going to continue to support Israel, and that's going to that's how we're going to move forward. And again, the president has to handle many things at once, and we saw him do that over the past couple of days, certainly since Saturday.
The president said that he will urge Congress to act quickly on Israel aid. Obviously, Ukraine aid is also still outstanding. Is there a preferred pathway forward from this White House on how both of those things can happen, given the situation on Capitol Hill right now?
Jake Sullivan spoke to this a little bit about when he was asked about the aid. Look, and he said this, he said it much better than I'm about to say, which is how important it is to continue to support Ukraine in their time of as they are fighting for freedom, as they're fighting the aggression from Russia. It is important that we continue to do that because, look, doing that now, the cost benefit of it now, is so important to do it now than to allow Putin, a dictator like Putin, to continue beyond Ukraine, right? It is important that we continue to focus on making sure that Ukraine has everything that they need as they bravely fighting for their freedom and for their democracy. And we're going to continue to certainly move forward, as you heard with the president, to ask Congress when they get back for additional assistance. Both of those things are incredibly important. Both of those things need to move forward. Both of the things, as Jake said, we are able and can do as the United States. I'm not going to talk about our strategy. We're going to certainly, as Jake said, the OMB director is going to lay that out. We're going to figure out the best path forward. I'm just not going to get into details on how that's going to look from now.
White House officials had any conversations with lawmakers about potentially speeding up the House speakership race?
Not going to get involved in the House speakership race. That is something, again, as I've said many times, as we have said many times, the House, as you know, is the majority goes to the Republicans. It is their path, it is their process to figure out who is going to be the speaker. Certainly, we want that to get done so that we can move forward with the business of the American people. But I'm not going to get into the congressional process from here.
Great work.
Trying to see who has not. Go ahead, Garrett. I know you haven't gotten called on.
There have been some clashes across the country and demonstrations amongst protesters in the aftermath of amid what's happening in Israel. How concerned is the administration that these clashes could turn violent, and do you have a message for demonstrators more broadly?
So look, I mean, Jake also spoke to our focus and our the importance of making sure that the Jewish community here is protected, making sure that there aren't acts of violence. We're always going to denounce any act of violence against any community, and certainly going to continue to show our support and going to be vigilant on that. Don't have anything else to go beyond that, but we are certainly monitoring, keeping an eye on all of this, and we're going to continue to support the community here.